Namaste and welcome everyone to this light circle. I'm just going to show you that we are in light and we extend our light to everyone. This group, I don't know if I can turn it all the way around, but we're gathered in holy purpose is the power of the light that we are, and we'll post these out on YouTube. And I'll just mention that it seems like the night sessions are a little bit different than the day sessions. We're covering the course lessons, at least for now, and that at night we're going to start topics. And tonight's topic is food preferences. I'm really looking deeply at desires around seemingly form in the form of food, if anyone would like to join. But we'll also post that, the beliefs and desires. So we'll start, seems like we'll have a schedule for a couple of topics coming up here. So thank you. So yeah, it's a blessing to be here, and the power of mighty companions to focus on light, the light of divinity that we are, and then have Jesus really providing, we're practicing that deep internal dialogue with the light that we are in the form here. It expresses as Jesus, and asking Jesus what the denials are, and then seeing those denials of divinity in the light of truth with him. So for each desire or belief that's expressed, we're just going internally into our heart to listen and see what Jesus, and release it if there's some kind of desire. And then we go, everyone just turns their hands over as it releases in their heart when they're ready for the next. So then we'll know to go to the next desire and ask Jesus. And then we do this in silence, and till the end we'll have some expression. If you hear some clear guidance coming in from Jesus, it feels beautiful to share that. So, okay, we'll start with lesson 70. And the lesson is, my salvation comes from me. And so the first question I have for Jesus, Jesus, is there any desire in the subconscious mind to deny that salvation comes from me? I'm willing to see this differently. All temptation is nothing more than some form of basic temptation not to believe the idea for today. Jesus, is there any desire in the subconscious mind to be tempted not to believe that salvation comes from me? I'm willing to see this differently. Salvation seems to come from anywhere except from you. Jesus, is there a desire in the subconscious mind to look in the world everywhere except to the light of truth for where salvation comes from? So too does the source of guilt. Jesus, is there a desire in the subconscious mind to experience guilt as a form of salvation? I'm willing to see that differently. You see neither guilt nor salvation as in your own mind and nowhere else. You see neither guilt nor salvation as in your own mind and nowhere else. Jesus, can you show me that guilt and salvation, or a choice within my mind? I'm willing to see that. When you realize that all guilt is solely an invention of your mind, you also realize that guilt and salvation must be in the same place. Jesus, I'm willing to see that guilt and salvation are in the same place, and that guilt's an invention in my mind. I'm willing to see this clearly. Jesus, I'm willing to see that guilt is an invention in my mind. In understanding this, you are saved. Jesus, I'm willing to see that I'm saved. I no longer have the desire to deny that I'm already saved in the light of truth. I'm no longer willing to use guilt to deny that I'm already saved in the light of truth. This infinite being, the infinite being that I am, that's here, this light, does this light know anything about guilt? In the truth in our hearts, can it even know what guilt is? The seeming cost of accepting today's idea is this. It means that nothing outside yourself can save you. Nothing outside yourself can give you peace. Jesus, is there any belief in a cost in accepting the idea for today that my salvation comes from me? Is there any belief in cost? I'd like to see the desire for an experience of cost in accepting salvation comes from me. Jesus, is there any remaining desire to believe that something outside myself is my salvation? Anything in form? I'm willing to see it. Nothing outside yourself can give you peace. Jesus, is there any desire to experience or attempt to have something outside myself give me peace? I'm willing to give up any beliefs that it can. But it also means that nothing outside yourself can hurt you. Jesus, is there any desire in the subconscious mind to deny my divinity with the belief or the desire to experience that something outside myself can hurt me? I'm willing to see that nothing outside myself can ever harm the Son of God or try to project something as though it does. I'm willing to see that infinite light that I am can never be harmed. But it also means that nothing outside yourself can hurt you or disturb your peace or upset you in any way. Jesus, is there a desire for an experience or something outside myself to disturb my peace? To buy into that idea, the concept that something outside myself can disturb my peace. Jesus, is there any desire in the subconscious mind to have an experience of something upsetting me in any way? I'm willing to see that in the light of my divine being, as God made me. Today's idea places you in charge of the universe, where you belong because of what you are. I'm willing to be in charge of the universe, where I belong because of what the Father made me. I'm willing to see that, accept that. This is not a role that can be partially accepted. Jesus, is there any desire in the subconscious mind to partially accept my role of being in charge of the universe? Is there any desire for that experience to be partially accept the truth? Jesus, I'm willing to see that everything that I think and feel and see is desired experience. And you must surely begin to see that accepting it is salvation. Jesus, I'm willing to see that accepting fully myself as God made me is my salvation. It may not, however, be clear to you why the recognition that guilt is in your own mind entails the realization that salvation is there as well. God would not have put the remedy for the sickness where it cannot help. This is the way your mind has worked, but hardly God's. He wants you to be healed. So he has kept the source of healing where the need for healing lies. Jesus, I'm willing to see that the source of healing, of all healing, lies within myself. That I carry the power of infinite being. And I ask you to show me all denials. That healing lies within me. You have tried to do just the opposite, making every attempt, however distorted and fantastic it might be, to separate healing from the sickness for which it was intended. Jesus, are there any further attempts or desires in the subconscious mind to separate healing from myself, the power from myself, from the sickness or the belief in it? That I'm not capable right now of accepting divinity. Your purpose was to ensure that healing did not occur. Jesus, is there any desire in the subconscious mind to ensure that healing does not occur, a desired experience for healing not to occur? Today, God's purpose was to ensure that it did, that healing occurs. Jesus, my only desire is to be in alignment with God's holy purpose. Today, we practice realizing that God's will and ours are really the same in this. God wants us to be healed, and we do not really want to be sick because it makes us unhappy. Therefore, in accepting the idea for the day, we are really in agreement with God. He does not want us to be sick, neither do we. He wants us to be healed, so do we. Jesus, I feel to ask to be in fully alignment with the recognition that healing is always available, as God promised, and to open my mind to fully reveal to you any areas where there's a belief in sickness, that it's possible to deny your will. We are ready for 2 longer practice periods today, each of which will last some 10 to 15 minutes. We will, however, still let you decide when to undertake them. We will follow this practice for a number of lessons, and it would again be well to decide in advance when would be a good time to lay aside for each of them, and when adhering to your own decisions as closely as possible. Jesus, it's a call of my heart to follow the decisions of God today and to give over any denials of following your will. Begin these practice periods by repeating the idea for today, adding a statement signifying your recognition that salvation comes from nothing outside of you. You may put it in this way: my salvation comes from me. It cannot come from anywhere else. Then devote a few minutes with your eyes closed to reviewing some of the external places where you have looked for salvation in the past, in other people, in possessions, in various situations and events, and in self-concepts that you've sought to make real. Jesus, is there any desires in this regard that you'd like to reveal for me now to see? We'll pause for a few minutes to allow Jesus to reveal those to us. Recognize it is not there, and tell yourself, my salvation cannot come from any of these things. My salvation comes from me and only from me. Now we will try again to reach the light in you, which is where your salvation is. You cannot find it in the clouds that surround the light, and it is in them you have been looking for it. It is not there. It is past the clouds and in the light beyond. Remember that you will have to go through the clouds before you can reach the light. But remember also that you have never found anything in the cloud patterns you imagined that endured, or what you wanted. Since all illusions of salvation have failed you, surely you do not want to remain in the clouds, looking vainly for idols there, when you could so easily walk on into the light of real salvation. Pass the clouds by. Whatever means appeals to you. If it helps you, think of me holding your hand and leading you. And I assure you, this will be no idle fantasy. You are free from all external interference. You are in charge of your salvation. You are in charge of the salvation of the world. Say then, my salvation comes from me. Nothing outside of me can hold me back. Within me is the world's salvation and my own.
Can we say that together?
What? It just feels to be really quiet in the heart with it, like whatever Jesus is telling you, and also just to rest as the light. Would anyone feel to share today? If not, it's perfectly fine. We could just sit here in silence together. I just want to open the opportunity. And I will close this session in the light of truth, knowing that we carry the light with us always. We are the light of truth. And we'll just sit in silence for a few minutes beyond the recording.